Hey everybody, I wanted to let you know about the order that I made on Bolt Depot. Now I posted a couple photographs on social media a couple of weeks ago, and people were asking me questions about this company. They had never heard of Bolt Depot before. So I've been ordering hardware from Bolt Depot for years for my real estate signs. I'm in the real estate industry and we put signs together. We have sign frames and core plastic signs, and they've just got the perfect nut and bolt size that's zinc coated. They don't rust. So I used to get them at one of the big box stores, but it was always hard to consistently find the quantities and the sizes that we use. It was just like hit and miss. Sometimes they didn't have them, and it was kind of frustrating. And so I searched online several years ago and I found Bolt Depot. So what I did recently is I needed some hardware, and I ordered some things not real estate related, just some things I've got going on with some projects. And the thing I love about Bolt Depot, you can see here is a large bolt. I ordered a 5/8 size by 4-inch. You can sort through the different pieces of hardware that are available on Bolt Depot on their website very easily. And they give great explanations of the different kinds of coatings and the different kinds of heads and with the bolts and the washers and the nuts and the thread, the coarse thread and the fine thread, or the standard thread that it might be called, and the fine thread. So you get really pretty good explanations of what's going on. And if you're like me and you've gone to the big box stores and you try to find a bolt or a nut or washer, whether it's just a flat washer or a lock washer, whatever, or some kind of a specialty size, it's like a nightmare to try to figure out where it might be located, and you think it might be where it's labeled, but it's not there. And then of course there's guys like me fishing around in there, and I'll pick something up and I always try to put it back where it goes, but sometimes I'll pick up what I read on the label in the little box, the little drawers that pull out, and there's little cubby holes, and I'll pick it up and it's not, somebody else put something in there that's not the right size. So it's like very frustrating. You're sorting through with what other guys that have come before me kind of messed up, and I may be doing the same thing, because after a while it's just so frustrating. Like, where did I pick this up from? I think it was that cubby hole. And you put it back where you think it goes, and maybe you put it in the wrong place. So it is just infuriating to pick out nuts and bolts and washers and hardware at the big box stores. Now, a place like Ace Hardware, if you have Ace Hardware, they're really good. They're much more organized. They're very helpful. Their staff is knowledgeable. You can buy the quantity that you want and mark it down on the envelope and put them in the paper bag. Put it in the little paper bag and bring it to the cashier. But you have to sort through and look, and it's still the process of going there, which is really, to me, is not enjoyable shopping for one or two pieces of specialty hardware. So Bolt Depot, you can go on their website and you can find just about everything and learn a lot about different types of nuts and bolts. And what I decided to do this last time I needed a few pieces of hardware, I decided to buy like 100, a bag of 100. I only needed a few of them, but the price was so good, and I made a decision that for the projects using this hardware for these sizes, I'm going to have a lot left over, and these are grade 8. So I've learned about grade 8 hardware. There's grade 5, and then there's, I think, a grade that's not as good as that is like standard, whatever they might call it. And then of course you can buy hardware where you have no idea what the grade is, and it's like cheap stuff, and it's a crapshoot. So if you're dealing with a critical application where you need something heavy duty, or you're a mechanic and you're working on an engine and you need something to be graded, you need a bolt and a nut and a washer to be graded to a specific specification. So it may call for a grade 8 or a grade 5. So I decided, I've got too much hardware that never seems to be what I'm looking for in my shed, and I'm always running up to Home Depot. Well, I'm not doing that anymore, or Lowe's. I'm not going there anymore for the hardware. I'm going to Bolt Depot. And they package their hardware nice in Ziploc bags, and like I said, you could order any quantity you want. Here's some cotter pins that I actually ordered, the 2 of them. Here's a lock washer that I got for the 5/8 nut, 1 lock washer, and they package it up and label it in a nice Ziploc bag. Here's a nylon, a washer, I mean a nut with a nylon threads inside, so it's essentially like a, you know, locks it down, won't vibrate loose. But I bought 1 of those. Here's a couple of flat washers, and I wanted to buy these. It was the right size, but they had like a, I don't know what it's called, but it's a thicker, stronger flat washer, and I saw it and I said, well, let me see what that's like. And you could see it's just a regular washer, except that it's like super thick. So that is a, you know, awesome to see that and to understand that they have a grade like that at the big box stores. You don't even get the chance to really understand that these different grades, if even they have them, I don't even know, and some of the subtleties of the hardware. Like I said, I decided to go with grade 8 for some of the heavy-duty projects that I'm working on. They probably don't need a grade 8. I needed this bolt, this 4-inch bolt, to be grade 8 for what I'm doing. And I'll be posting a YouTube video on the project that I'm working on that's going to use that bolt. And I have 3 more that I needed, and I've since figured out I mismeasured, and I was trying to get the smallest length that I could, but it's just about 1/4 of an inch too short, so I have to go up 2 more inches to buy these. So I bought 3 of these, so I need just longer bolts for what I'm using. Anyway, that's unfortunate, but anyway, I have a use for these. Anyway, I've got an alternate project I'm working on where I could use some longer bolts like this. They don't need to be a grade 8, but I'm going to use them anyway. So anyway, that will avoid, if I was doing like a massive amount of work that required lots of hardware, I may not use grade 8 because it's not necessary to use that strong of a nut and bolt for a lot of applications that I use. But I decided rather than have a grade 8 bolts in my shed and grade 5 bolts and then ungraded bolts and just have like a massive supply, and then when I go to get what I need, you know, it's not the right size anyway, then I'm just going to use grade 8 and forget about it. It's the strongest ones you could have, so I could use it for some heavy duty applications I have. I may need some hardware to use on my tractor, and grade 8 would be a great thing. My garden tractor, my Craftsman garden tractor, I've got some videos about that garden tractor, and I'll be posting more in the future. And so anyway, I'll just use a grade 8. It doesn't matter. It might be overkill. It may not need to be that strong in every application I use it, but for the cost and the fact that if I need 1 bolt, 1 nut, or 5 or 6 or 7, whatever, well, if it's this size, I've got 100 of them, of those nuts. So, and lock washers and flat washers. So anyway, I highly recommend Bolt Depot. They package the material great. You get your paid invoice. And here's something that I thought was really cool. In this day and age, you don't see this too much, unfortunately. But they've got their system figured out, and you know that a real live human being packages up. And I think they are right here in, where are they located? They're in Massachusetts. Yeah, so they are a U.S. company. And I don't know where the hardware is actually manufactured, but it is individually packaged, obviously, per order by a real human being. And this is what I want to show you. You can see each line item on my order is checked off with a pen. And so a real live human being went down the line and fulfilled every line item in my order by hand, personally. He had a pen, and his initials is up there. And I don't want to, put all this on there. But actually, I will. I'll show you. You can see there's like the guy signed it, or the person signed it, and they stamped the time the order came in or the time it was fulfilled. They put the information in there. And so I think that's kind of cool. You don't get that when you order things online, usually it just comes anonymously and, you know, packaged somewhere, and, you know, you have no idea if a real live person even was involved at all in the order. But this was. So I thought that's kind of cool, and their website's great. I've never had to call them or contact them to ask them a question because they've got so much great information online. But I suspect they're the kind of company, if you picked up the phone and had one question about one kind of bolt that you think you might need, I bet there's somebody on the other line that will have a conversation with you about it and answer your question and mail you, let you buy one bolt, even though you took 10 minutes of their time to understand, you know, what your question was and get the answer. So it just strikes me as that kind of company. I don't know for sure. I don't have any experience doing that, but I just want to give them a shout out. I love the products. I'll be ordering more. I order regularly from them, and I may need to put in another order for my real estate business for our signs, and I'll go to them. I'm not going to use a grade 8 bolt, don't worry, on my my plastic signs going on the metal frame. I just need something cheap, well made, easy to use, and doesn't corrode in the weather. So that, and I order, usually I order 100 bolts, 100 nuts, and 100 flat washers. And the plastic sign itself, when you crank down on the wing nut, actually, it kind of squeezes the sign in a little bit, and it acts like a lock washer. So that's why I use that. And then the metal frame itself is very solid. So anyway, that's what I do for my real estate business. So that's all for now. If you have any questions or any experience with Bolt Depot, just post in the comments below. And if you like this kind of content, let me know. Please give me a thumbs up. I'd like to grow my my audience and connect with people, and I hope that the content that I post is helpful to you. You can kind of browse my channel. It's kind of a little bit eclectic and on a wide range of topics, but on some of my videos I really have a lot of interest, and I don't have any one particular thing I focus on, but there's a few themes that are coming out over time the more I post. So you can, if you like this video, you probably will find a few other videos that you'll enjoy looking at. I get a lot of thank yous from people that find my content on YouTube because they're asking the same questions I do. And if you're asking, where can I get good hardware? How can I find hardware easier and search for it easier? Well, maybe you found my video. I'm sending you to Bolt Depot. So anyway, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I don't put out a lot of content, but I'm trying to be more consistent in putting content out, and I'd love to grow my audience. So thanks a lot.